What is up, gents? Great Night Dude here. I just ran out to the car. Holy shit. We just did a shit ton of battle reps. They're all being edited, recorded, uploaded. But I wanted to wait to get a shit ton of games in for you guys before I did my final part 4 review of the Codex. So this came out a little bit ago, but a lot of us have seen reviews on it. But this is going to be a little bit different. So when you guys are seeing all the reviews, you've probably seen a ton of them. There was actually a video, a 5-minute review. Shout out to that guy. He basically reviews the whole Codex, and not the whole Codex, but like the main things in 5 minutes. It's pretty funny. But there's going to be a full thing on the units. So we're going to go over each unit. If you guys see part 1 through 3, we went over specifics of the first part of the Codex. This is going to be the unit review. So with all of my games, I probably have a good 20 plus games under my belt right now. And that's with the tournaments. That's with us winning 3 tournaments. That's with every Monday we play at the Alternate Universes. Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, like every day that I can get a game in, I usually try and get a game in. So it's a shit ton of games. So I wanted to make this for you guys after I got a ton of games in, what I saw, what I used, what I didn't use that much, what I still have to test out. Leave it in the comments below what you think you really like, what you don't really like, what would you suggest for newer players, stuff like that. It's going to be more of my review if you want to just have a good army. Skill set obviously has a lot to do with it, but when it comes to basic knowledge of each unit in the game, what they could be used for. All right, so that's what it's going to be. It's not going to be zooming in, stuff like that. It's going to be long. We're going to try our best to make it short for you guys, and you don't have to sit here for a freaking hour, but we're going to go step by step through all the units. So now the first unit, Caldor Darago. Now, he is definitely one of the best HQs in the entire game. If you're going to use him, he's 180 points. He's like nothing to shy about. You can cast twice, which is very rare in the Grey Knights Codex now. Being able to cast twice without spending a CP to cast another one, so we can technically cast 3, is rare. Him and Librarian are the only 2 that can actually do it, so making sure that you bring a 180 point guy that has a 3+ invuln save with your army that doesn't count as a Grandmaster in the same Brotherhood is so OP. He's got 7 wounds, which I think is the highest. He's got 6 attacks base, and just all around does everything you need for him. He gives somebody in the command phase a Grey Knight core or character within 6 inches, reroll all wounds. So that is special also. So if you want to start off with an HQ, Drago is 100% ready to go. If he's your only HQ, that's completely fine. He's a beast in this Codex. So Drago definitely is number 1 of the guys that you can definitely bring for HQ. Boldus, I have to say I haven't tried Boldus out. Boldus was used a lot before the new Codex came out. Now this Codex, he has the same powers as a regular Librarian. He can't get a Warlord trait unless it's his specific Warlord trait, so that kind of what limits him. And also, he only buffs or Ward Makers. So if you bring him in, it's only Ward Makers, which he gives that buff to. So that kind of limits him. So I'd rather have probably a Librarian than Boldus, because he used to be able to cast 3 powers. Now he only casts 2 powers. You have to spend a CP to cast the last one. So if you're really into the lore and you want to bring Boldus and you have the model and you think it's really cool, bring it. He comes with a hammer that you don't get -1 to hit, which also is pretty cool. So he hits on 2s in combat with his hammer. So 3 damage, -3 AP, which is 1 more than usual. Just really good. Grandmaster. So I skipped on him. I haven't tested him out. If anybody has, let me know, but I haven't used him yet. Now the Grandmaster, this is probably One Last Blade's favorite dude to use. If you're going to bring a Grandmaster, it's very hard to, probably smaller games I would bring him in. It's going to be hard to bring him in a bigger game unless you specifically build around him, because he's slow. He's only speed 5 compared to a Grandmaster Dreadnought, which is speed 9 and can shunt and do all the crazy stuff. So I haven't used them specifically as a Grandmaster. I use Grandmaster Dreadnoughts. So if you want to play a smaller game, you can use him just as a regular Grandmaster. Put the Cantu Van Brace on him, which is -1 damage. That is a really good infantry relic. You can't put that on a Dreadnought. That would be insane. But bringing the Grandmaster in a smaller game, I think, is good, unless you want to bring a bigger game and kind of deep strike him in, so that way he at least gets across the table, or if you shun him or Gate of Affinity him across the table. Or put him in like a Land Raider. Again, build the list specifically for that, but I haven't tested him out too much. Him walking. Mainly it's the Grandmaster. So the next one's the Grandmaster. Grandmaster is literally by far probably one step above, if not below, Drago. 13 wounds, 6 attacks base, which you can double it to 12 if he's in attack and he does the sweep on his sword, which 100% you're going to bring the sword every single time. 2 up save, 4 up invuln save. Just kit him out, really cheap for what he does. And he also has the aura, so his big base gives the +1 or reroll 1s to attack aura on his base. So basically everybody within 6 inches, core gets the reroll 1s to hit. Sick. Dreadnoughts are core. Sure. So having him in the middle of literally 3 other Dreadnoughts walking out the table, they all reroll 1s to hit. You could bring a Dreadnought, and now they reroll 1s to wound as well. It is bonkers. So you want to kit them out, usually with like the full loadout, silencer, side cannon, sword, every single time. Grandmaster, you can give him the relic, which gives him the sigil of exigence, which you get to shunt if he's targeted by a shot. And usually if he's targeted by a shot, you shun him behind a building or up on the other side of the table, out of line of sight from what's shooting at him. That is a must. You need to bring that on him. There's another thing you can add for 20 points, which is the 3++ invuln save for the turn, or for the whole rest of the turn, which I didn't know. I thought it was a round. So it's the rest of the turn. So if you pop it in the shooting phase after you shunted, let's say you shunted, next turn he gets into combat, he kills whatever he's in, or the other person lives and you want to use it, I would save it. I would save it till the other person's turn. But you use it, it works in the shooting and assault phase, that 3++. It is 20 points well worth it. But if you have 2 Dreadnoughts, Grandmasters, put 1 Sigil of Exigence on them to shunt, and put the Servant of the Throne on the other one, so that way they're both pretty tanky and can survive for a couple different rounds. Grandmaster Dreadnought, definitely number 1 or number 2 of the HQ choices. This is 10% River Horse. Really, really good beer. Castling Crow. Definitely one of my favorite models. I used him at a tournament. If you guys saw that video, we won that tournament. But he is just so fun. He's 90 points. And he just brings so much to the table. So he has 6 attacks. His weapon is special. +1 attack, so it's a sword. -3 AP. 2 damage flat, which is good. And on 6s, inflicts D3 mortal wounds in any additional normal damage. So he doesn't get the nemesis thing, the tides, but he has his own tide, so you can be in another tide and he still gets this D3 mortal damage per 6 on the wound. So he runs up to a tank or a titan, attacks it, and does like 6 freaking mortal wounds on top, which happened in the one video, on top of whatever normal hit damage he does, which is just stupid good. A 6-inch heroic intervene, which is awesome. That's rare. So he can heroic intervene from 6 inches away, and Honor of Death, which is the same thing. So he gets to attack twice, essentially. He can attack, and then if he dies, heroic sacrifice, he can then attack. Wait, if this model is destroyed in the fight phase, do not remove the model. It can fight after the attack him. Okay, so it can't do that. Ignore that. It can fight if he died. So let's say he fights, and then he kills whoever he killed. All right, yeah, he can't do that. But he can die. So let's say he gets charged, or he has to fight last. If he dies, he still gets to heroic intervene. So basically for 90 points, he can cast the Purify Flame, which is like a just flat 3 mortal wounds, which is awesome. If he rolls an 11+, which he gets +1 to cast it already, he gets D3 +3 mortal wounds on that cast. He can pick a spell. So usually you want to give him like warp shaping, because you need one person on the field to actually have that. So he'll be the one to have the warp shaping. Or you give him Gate of Affinity and you can just gate around, people across the table. Most of the time you're going to give him warp shaping. And also he knows smite. So basically he knows smite, warp shaping, and the Purify Flame on one character. 6-inch Heroic Intervene, Heroic Sacrifice. Wait, so if this model is destroyed in the fight phase, do not remove that model from play. It can fight after attacking model units, finishing and making attacks. If you're using this ability after resolving attacks, yeah, so you can attack twice. What? That's what I thought. I thought I was going crazy. So basically, you attack, you charge and you attack. If he dies, he attacks again. What? He attacks twice. So I thought I read that right the first time, and it's right. So basically, he's able to attack, and then if he dies, he attacks again. Or on the opponent's turn, if he interrupts, attacks, and then he dies on your opponent's turn, he gets to attack again. So that for 90 points, I think is worth it. He is freaking super fun. Test him out, he's awesome. Stern, skip over it. Brother Captain, yes, he's cool. The aura for core is reroll 1s to wound. So if you want a Grandmaster, Dreadnought, or Grandmaster, they're reroll 1s to hit, and then he can come in and also reroll 1s to wound. So you can kind of build like a little KG castle thing for that. But he's just a standard, Terminator. 6 wounds, 5 attacks, 2 up, 4 up invuln, so that's good. 2 up, 2 up. Yeah, so basically you bring him in there, and there's a stratagem where you can have +1 to cast your psychic powers within 6 inches. So if you want to kind of build a psyche army, a really heavy psyker army, he's definitely a must that you're going to want to bring in to kind of get +1 to cast all around. That's 1 CP, so it's pretty cheap. So that's something if you want to build around, like a psychic army, or reroll 1s to hit for Grandmaster and then reroll 1s to wound for him. Or you can bring a Dreadnought, which essentially does the same thing. It doesn't take up an HQ slot. So Dreadnought has the same thing that he has for 1 CP. So it's like a toss-up. He's probably good for smaller games. Or if you want a bigger game and you want to run kind of like Dreadnought's just walking up the table with him right in the middle, you can do that as well. Do 1 Grandmaster with him right next to each other, and then 3 Dreadnoughts or Knights walking up the table, and they all reroll 1s to hit, reroll 1s to wound, and it's bad time for your opponent. Brotherhood Champion, kind of like Crow, a little bit cheaper. Same thing, 6-inch Heroic Intervene. At the start of your fight phase, if this model is engaged in range of an enemy character, he'll fight first. I think Crow has the same thing. Yeah, and he doesn't have the honor and death. So he can't, you have to spend CP for him to do that. So Crow has an alias, so I'd rather bring Crow than a champion. I would just want to find the points to bring Crow over this guy. Because Crow also knows the Purify Flame automatically, stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, he's not bad. He's a cheap HQ slot, 2 up save, 5 attacks, 4 wounds. Basic, right? Just cheap HQ slot if you want to bring it. Librarian, though, there's so much cool stuff to do with the Librarian. I want to just wish I could run a Librarian every single game, which I have been doing. But the last 3 games it's been vehicle-less because I've been sending out my my guys to get painted. But the Librarian, mortal wound bomb, basically. You want to either deep strike him in or shun him across the table with a shunt thing, the spell, to put him in range to cast his spells. Usually you just keep him in turn 2, so that way Drago can do it turn 1, or Grandmaster can do it turn 1, and then he comes in turn 2 and just nukes whatever's left. So he's kind of like a HQ killer, and also a tank kind of killer. Like you want to put him where somebody doesn't have mortal wound saves. He deep strikes in, he casts Purify Flame, which you spend 1 CP so that you can extend the range. That's 3 mortal wounds. If he has the one thing which gives him +1 mortal wounds to Witchfire spells, that's a Warlord trait. You put that on him. He then gets 4 mortal wounds flat. The Vortex of Doom, which is a 12-inch cast, boosted up to an 18-inch cast. That also gets 2d3 +1 mortal wounds. And with the Vortex of Doom, you can go up to 18 inches, so 12 in the 6-inch extend, which is really freaking far for a 2d3 mortal wound. But you want to be closest to, it's the closest unit. So make sure you remember that, because if you're trying to target a character, make sure the character is the closest one to you to do that, or a tank specifically. So if you have 2 units and you deep strike and they're both within 9, you get to choose. So make sure you do that correct. If one's 10 inches away, one's 9 inches, you have to shoot the 9 inch. So remember that. Another thing you want to add to your librarian is a freaking melt-a-gun. Combi melta. 10 points if you can find it. Freaking put it on your librarian because it's hilarious. You drop down. This happened in the tournament game. Sorry for my opponent. But you drop down. He does Purify Flame, Vortex of Doom, Smite. And then you're like, oh yeah. And then in shooting phase, he's going to shoot your character with a melt-a-gun because he killed everything else around it. And now you just took oh my god, D6 damage. It was glorious. So I don't know. And again, if he survives, because you put Cantu of Van Brace on him, so the Warlord trait you can put on him, and then the relic Cantu of Van Brace, which gives -1 to the damage and 4 up mortal wounds to himself. Very good combo with him. Probably one of the best. Him or the Grandmaster I would put it on, but him especially if you're going to be using the Mortal Wound Bomb. Psychic Hood, which I always forget he has. Add 1 to the Deny the Witch, so basically +2 to deny your Witch. And that's it. Everything else basic. 3+, 3+, Weapon Skill, Ballistic Skill, 2 up, no 4 up Invuln, 5 up Invuln. So that's why the Cantu of Embrace helps out a lot. And that's it. He's basically just the Mortal Wound Bomb. He casts 2 powers, which is rare. So he casts 3, which is another Smite if you wanted to. Now, here's the next HQ choice. Tech Marine is becoming very, very powerful in my games. 2+ save, 4 attacks, 4 wounds, basic. 2 up BS, which is awesome. 3 up weapon skill. He has 2 silver arms, which is strength 8, -2, 3 damage. Holy shit. Axe, a power axe, which is +2 strength, -2 AP, 2. So it's basically a halberd. And all the weapons galore. Now the best part about him is if you like Dreadknights, you're going to be bringing him because he gives +1 to vehicle units. So he basically can give you a Dreadknight, a +1. So now your +3 shooting Dreadknight is now 2+ shooting Dreadknight. Reroll 1s because he's probably by a Grandmaster. And if you bring 2 Tech Marines, you can then do that to 2 of your Dreadknights. He can heal as well. So he has a relic that you can take with him. One of them can. It's the auto 3 heal. So if your Dreadknight's sitting on 5 wounds and he needs 3 to get above his bracket, you walk your Tech Marine up, auto heal 3. Now he's top bracket again. He does everything normal. So remember, it's in the command phase that he does the +1, and it has to be 3 inches away. So he has to be always close to your Dreadknights. Remember that. But he definitely is something good. He's the guy you want to bring Warp Shaping on, or Sanctuary, or something that you don't really use that often. Or just a gate, like put a gate on him. Divination I use for the Prescient Brotherhood. So the Prescient Brotherhood brings a Tech Marine, and the Tech Marine literally all game is doing, he's doing the Warlord, Psychic Power, +1 command point. So literally you go from 4 to 6 command points, or 4 to 5 command points every single game. It's a 6+, so it's pretty good. Yeah, he's awesome. He's 80 points, super cheap. You don't have to add anything else to him, just Warlord traits or a relic. All right. Chaplin, I ran last edition, but now the new Codex, there's just so many other options, like good options with this. You can bring the Chaplin. A lot of people bring him to kind of really buff up the mortal wound with Nemesis weapons. He gives the power Litany, which does +1 mortal wound on top of the Tides mortal wound. So if the Tides does, and max is 6, which, it's whatever. But if your unit charges in, they do mortal wound on a 6 to wound, and then +1 more because of that power. But it's so situational. Like, most of the time, you don't need that many. Most of the time, you can't get it off because they're already in combat. The jump pack guys, they're just so fast, you can't really put it on them. There's just so much if, with this guy on a 3-up, it has to go off. So 33% of the time, you're not going to have it go off, which is so... I think I played this guy once, and I don't know if I'll play him again. You have to build around him specifically, and I personally am not going to be bringing this guy unless somebody finds out a crazy, hack with him. But I'm probably not going to be bringing the Chaplain. He's cool, great idea, cool story, awesome model, just not my cup of tea. Terminator Squad. All right, so we are done the HQ choices, gents. So let's go into the other units. All right, so we'll pause. And now let's go into the units. So Brotherhood Terminator Squad. I'm sorry, everybody who likes Terminators. I love Terminators. I like Terminators so much last edition and way back when with Terminator, Drago Bomb, and all that fun stuff. But the Terminators for the points compared to the Strike Squads are nothing compared to the Strike Squads. So super overcosted, dies super fast. So many 2 wound, 3 wound stuff in this game now. They just die. Same amount of attacks as just a Strike Squad, with 1 extra wound and 1 plus save, but double the points. So it's like, and I don't like heavy weapons, honestly. I don't like putting heavy weapons on my guys. The only thing I put on is the silencers for a Strike Squad because they're literally just in the backfield casting the Warp Ritual the whole game. But these guys want to be in combat. They don't want to be sitting on objectives. They don't want to be sitting back, not doing anything. That's what Strike Squads are for, 100 points. And they just kind of sit back and do your secondaries because the whole point of 9th edition is secondaries. If you have your Terminators up front trying to score you stuff, they're going to die. Yeah, I'd rather have jumpy dudes that can move 12 inches, get a sawed off, and actually kill something before they die for a lot less. So, fun? Sure, run Terminators. If you want to have a fun game or test out Terminators or run 1 squad of 5 Terminators just to deep strike on turn 2, do it. Have fun. But most of the time, you're going to be running Strike Squads, which is the next thing. Strike Squads. So Strike Squads is cheap. They're 110 points for a base 5-man unit. They have 3 freaking attacks with a Nemesis Halberd. It's +2 strength, -2 AP, 2 damage. Swords, -3 AP, 2 damage. Like, these guys are insane now. 4 attacks on the Justicar. You can put a hammer on if you want. I wouldn't. But if you want to put a hammer on it, it's a 4 attacks on a hammer. Hitting on 4s. They can teleport. They have Hammerhand as a main spell and smite. They're just all around amazing, honestly. They're all Psychers. 5-man unit, 100 points. Put a silencer. All right, so here's the thing. I'm going to tell you guys to put a silencer on your Strike Squads. And the reason because if you're running a list like I do with the Dreadknights, you're probably going to bring Psychic Amplification or Empiric Amplification, whatever the hell it's called. It's +1 damage to your Nemesis weapons. And if you're in the Tide, you get +6-inch range for your side weapons, which a silencer is a side weapon. So if you put that spell on a tank or a unit or a bike squad or whatever it may be, your little Strike Squad that have 1 silencer that shoots 6 freaking times 30 inches across the table, now does 2 damage. -1 AP. That's free. And if somebody's shooting in that unit, he's the first one to go. Like if you're like, oh, I want to have a sword in combat. How often do you get your Strike Squads in combat without at least one of them dying on turn 3 or 4, or even turn 1 or 2? You're probably not going to do it. So every single time I bring a Strike Squad, I bring 1 silencer. It's free. Yes, it's heavy, but who the hell cares? You're getting 6 shots. Let's say 3 or 4 of them hit. That's -1 AP. You're going to do some wounds. Get the Psychic Amplification on a unit, you're doing 2 damage. Pretty freaking good. And they're free. So Strike Squads are definitely one of the best things you do. They're super cheap, so if you're bringing a battalion, 3 of them, it's 330 points. Compared to 215 point Terminator Squad. I already have all my troops satisfied with 330 points in every list. Apothecary is cool, but it's very situational. If you want to bring an Apothecary, it is a 6-up Feel No Pain. You can have Brotherhood, which gives it a 5-up Feel No Pain, but you have to cast it on the unit. Like, the unit has to cast it to get it. Tried it out, didn't like it, not my favorite thing. Probably will never run an Apothecary. I'm not going to say ever again, but not in the relatively future. It's only for infantry models, so you can't heal Dreadnought, stuff like that. So I'm not a huge fan of the Apothecary. 6-up Feel No Pain just doesn't do a lot for me. Brotherhood Ancient, I tested out the Brotherhood Ancient Bomb, which if you guys don't know that, you can come down Deep Strike, have the Banner Relic, which everything within 6 inches is a Psych Power, takes D3 mortal wounds, and you can actually extend the range by 6 inches with 1 CP because it's a cast, a Psychic cast. So basically you Deep Strike, everything within 12 inches takes D3 mortal wounds. Now, I tested this against Thousand Suns, which wasn't smart because he denied it. But still, it's 110 or 115 points, plus it's a relic, and you have to spend a CP to extend the range. I'd rather just bring the Librarian and be way more reliable to do all those mortal wounds. But if you come down with maybe a squad in front of him, like a strike squad, or if you want a Terminator squad, at least he's a character, so he can't get targeted. And also he gives +1 attack to everybody within 6 inches of him. I think that works with, so it's Brotherhood Core Infantry. You get +1 attack, so it doesn't work for the Dreadknights. And me, I love Dreadknights, so it's probably why I haven't really tested him out that much. And he's slow. He's in Terminator arms, so you have to deep strike him. So if you're planning on maybe having like a unit of 5 Interceptors, or somebody kind of get up the table on turn 2 and then attack, he can come in near them and kind of give that aura. But if he's doing the mortal wounds, they're probably going to kill people in front, so that way your charge distance is further. So he's fun. He's a part of the fun category that we were talking about. Fun list tournament. Paladins are a huge letdown. I wish they had bodyguard or some way to get bodyguard. Then I think you might be using them more. But just expensive. Same deal with the Terminators. They have 1 extra attack than the Terminators, but they still have 3 wounds. If they had 4 wounds, maybe. Everything else is the same. So I'm gonna, and they can take a different power. So you don't have to take the normal hammer hand. You can actually pick a power, which kind of separates them. Like if you want to put Sanctuary or Armor Resilience on them or something like that, that's a way to kind of increase their survivability. So they would have a 1-up save, which is pretty cool. I haven't tested them out, honestly, that much, so I can't give you my opinion 100% on them. I just don't know if I'd be running them anytime soon. Purifier squads, super fun. I like Purifiers. Bring them in turn 2 with your Librarian. Great idea. They're only 115 points. So for a squad of 5, 115 points, I usually put 2 free incinerators on the unit. So that way they come down, the incinerators are now 12 inches, which is awesome. So they come down, they incinerate whatever's in front of them. They can't cast Purify Flame, but they can cast Smite. So they can still cast Smite and Purify Flame. Purify Flame, they get +1 to cast. But let's say they survive, right? You deep strike them in some ruins or behind ruins or whatever the hell it may be, but they survive. Now next turn you have them and your Mortal Wound Librarian both have Purify Flame, can walk up and just do a shit ton of mortal wounds, whoever's in front of them. So Purifiers, yes, they're not a part of the same Brotherhood, but who cares if you're teleporting them on turn 2 across the table? They're not going to be by anybody anyway. They're kind of like my bodyguards for my Librarian. My Librarian needs somebody to be a character to kind of shun off wounds to. They're a perfect unit. You can do Strike Squad and save 5 points, but I'd rather have like a Mortal Wound, super flamey Purifier squad coming in and just... So they're cool. They're fun. I actually made a list with 50 Purifiers in it. I want to test that out for you guys. Hopefully that'll be coming up soon. I need to get my guys back so I can test it out. They're getting painted. But Purifiers are super fun. All the same stats as a Strike, but they know Purify Flame and Smite automatically get +1 to cast Purify Flame. And that's it. Yeah, so that's cool. Paladin Ancient. Same thing as the other Brotherhood Ancient. So not really used for me specifically that much, but he does have the same thing where you can do the Mortal Wound Bomb. He gives Grey Knight's Core +1 attack, and he can also do something for the Paladin Core. Add 1 to the attack characteristic. Add 1 to leadership. That's it. So nothing crazy. Add 1 to the attack characteristic to the models in the unit. I guess because they're not Brotherhood, that's why. Yeah, so again, same thing with the Brotherhood Ancient. If you want to bring them for fun, bring them for fun. It's up to you guys. Servitors. Servitors are fun. So they're the cheapest unit we have in the game. Or in the list, it's 4 models, 30 points. You can put heavy weapons on them, which I haven't tested out yet. I do want to test that out. But they're free if you bring a Tech Marine. Not free, but they don't count as an org slot, which I don't know how many people are using up 6 elite org slots. But if you are, Tech Marine, they count for free. If you have them buy a Tech Marine, they have leadership of 9 and a 4+ ballistic skill. So I was thinking of using small squads, right, for putting heavy bolters on them. They shoot 36 inches. If they stay still, they're hitting on 4s. So that's 6 shots hitting on 4s, strength 5, -1, 2 damage. Just 2 damage bolters shooting regular Marines off the table from servitors is pretty freaking funny. You can do multi-melts as well. 2 shots hitting on 4s, so 50-50 shot, strength 8, AP 1, D6 damage. So I mean, they're just cheap monkeys that can do objectives for you. If you want to have them, here's the thing: if you bring Foretelling of a Locust, it's 30 points. You can put units in reserve without spending CP for that. So these guys are good things if you want to like plan ahead, and if you don't want to redeploy anything. Let's say you're going first, you use the Foretelling of Locust, put these guys into reserves for free. They walk in the table edge, so that way they can do raise banners. They can do Octarius data. For you. They're just monkeys to do stuff. If you want to raise the banners on your side, like your Grey Knights can't do that because they're casting the Psychic Ritual, but you can have a squad of these guys and a squad of Strikes. Strikes are casting Psychic powers, and they're just casting raise the banners and whatever else you need them to do, but they're cheap. Like, if you have an extra 30 points, throw them in there. It doesn't hurt to have them on the table. Venerable Dreads. We're getting into the vehicles now. Venerable Dreads I started running recently. They have a 2+ BS and a 2+ weapon skill. So I like the weapon skill characteristics. So having a multi-melta on this guy, deep striking him, or using the Gate of Affinity to kind of throw him across the table, because he has a Psyker, is awesome. He has a 6-up feel and pain innately, 5 attacks, 8 wounds, -1 damage because he's a Dreadnought. And he has the 1 CP where if you use it on him, same with the Dreadnoughts, you can do reroll 1s to hit on core or reroll 1s to wound on core. So if you're doing the kind of little tanky, cagey scenario where you have 3 Dreadnoughts around him or Knights around him, and you have your Grandmaster is giving the reroll 1s to wound or hit, he's giving the reroll 1s to wound. So basically that little castle you have walking up the table is super deadly to shooting. So he's definitely worth it. He's 150 points with the multi-melta, 145 base. You can give him a plasma cannon for free, and a missile launcher if you want to take away his close combat weapon. But hitting on 2s in close combat is awesome, especially with 3 damage close combat weapon. -3 AP, 3 damage, strength 12. Pretty freaking good. Dreadnought, same thing. I like Dreadnoughts. There's nothing bad against them. It's 135 points. Standard, so they're like cheap core units that can benefit a lot from the stuff that we have. The Brotherhood spells, the core spells, they have I keep saying the 1 CP stratagem that buffs your other units around him. So he's a good buffer. If you want to just bring one of them, which I've been doing in a Tech Marine list, you can increase his shot, his ballistic skill by 1, so now he's hitting on 2s. So if you have a multi-melta dread, you can use your Tech Marine to give it +1 to hit, so now it hits on 2s, and then use your Grandmaster or another Tech Marine to then shun him across the table with Gate of Affinity. Now he's like literally in the back line next to a tank about to blow the shit out of it, or the character, so he can just kill a character after you gate him, and then he's pretty tanky unless they have melts on the other side. Then he's gonna die. But yeah, dreads are fun. Dreads are not a bad thing to add to the list. Especially if you have Dreadknights, and Dreadnought. 1 Dreadnought is a good combo. So now we're getting into Interceptor squads. Interceptor squads are probably one of the best things we have in this codex. They are our jump infantry. It's funny, when I first came back to the edition, I was moving them 6 inches. Had no idea they moved 12, but they moved 12, guys. Don't remember that. Don't forget that. They are cheap. They're 120 points, so they're only 10 points more than a strike squad, and they're basically strike squads. Like, they're strike squads with 12-inch movement. Everything great I said about a strike squad, they have the same thing, except they have a psychic power. Instead of hammerhand, they have move or shoot, jump again. So they can't charge after they do it, but it's a 6 power, and if you want to kind of, it works with engage in all fronts. So what you do is you combat squad your 10-man, or if you bring 2 5-mans, I'd rather do that because now you have 2 Justicars instead of 1 Justicar. But you have 2 Justicars, 2 5-man units. They move up, they move up turn 1. As far as they can, 12 inches, and then they cast their psychic power. So now, even if there's nothing to shoot, let's say everything's hiding, you can then move up another 12 inches, and now you have all 4 table edges, quarters. So you're getting 3 points turn 1 on engage in all fronts. guys, remember, secondaries is everything with this edition. So they are perfect for engaging all fronts. They're perfect for getting the first turn assault off. A Brotherhood that I use them in is the Blades of Victory. The Warlord trait, the Grandmaster, and a unit within 6 inches of them gets to move up 6 inches before the game. So the Grandmaster moves up his 6, they move up their 6, now they're 6 inches in front of your deployment zone. And then if you go first turn, or you roll and then you do that, but you get first turn, they now move 12, and they're only 6 inches, 6 or 7 inches from their front line guys. So that's a little strategy in Blades of Victory where you now get first turn assaults with a 5-man or 10-man unit of Interceptors, and if you want to buff them, put Sanctuary on them, or they have a psychic power where they get to reroll charges because of Blades of Victory. You can put a hammer in that squad so that way they're hitting really hard on turn 1. Like, whatever you want to do, they're going to do it. It's a really good combo. And then all of a sudden, your Grandmaster has Psychic Amplification, so he's doing that super far up the table turn 1. Vortex of Doom if you want to put it on him like I do. Like, it's such a good combo, but Interceptors will help you do that. They can get across the table really fast. They can do objectives. They can cast the Ritual on like the opponent's table turn 1. You can do a lot with them. So they're definitely one of the best things to bring in the game. If you bring 30 every single list, try it. My minimum usually is 10 to 15. Like 3 squads of 5, perfect. If you want to go 2 squads or I would rather go two 5-man squads and a 10-man squad rather than 2 10-man squads. And the reason, again, because you have an extra Justicar, which is an extra attack, or you can bring like a special weapon with them. So yeah, try that out. Interceptors, great. Purgation Squad I haven't used a lot, but they're basically in the same slot as a Dreadnought. So if you have 3 Dreadnoughts, just run 3 Dreadnoughts. They're going to get a lot more out of it than a Purgation Squad. Purgation Squad is more of a fun type game. But what you can do, there's a stratagem, 2 CP, so you can spend 2 CP and they get +1 to wound on their weapons. Now, it doesn't say specifically which weapon, so here's a strat that I want somebody to test out, or if you tested it out already. 2 CP and 2 CP for sideboard ammunition. Bring a squad of 10. So now you deep strike them. You can spend a CP to get +1 to hit for shooting. Spend a CP to -1 to hit for them because of Soulfire. Spend 2 CP for sideboard ammunition, that's 4 CP. And then spend 2 more CP, that's 6 CP. You probably don't need the first 2. But 4 to 6 CP, they get +1 to hit, -1 AP, 6 is auto wound, and +1 to wound. So now your 5s on like a tank or a super heavy guy now wound on 4s. Your 4s now wound on 3s, -1 AP. 6 is auto wound. That's a cool strat right there. And I guess I'm sure specific Brotherhoods you can boost them up. Sword Bears not really. Maybe, I don't know. But they're pretty cool. They have Astral Aim. You can cast on them when they come down if you want. That gives them no cover. So you can do that as well. So they're pretty cool if you want to do that strat. You can put a shit ton of heavy weapons. Again, I don't like heavy weapons on Strikes or Terminators just because the 4s to hit. So if you put a Sidecan, it's only 3 shots. I'd rather just put a Silencer, it's 6 shots. It's whatever. I don't like heavy weapons. Only on Dreadnoughts. And finally, we're at Dreadnoughts. So Dreadnoughts, favorite unit in the game. If you guys haven't used them yet, you're going to. If you buy the Hexfire box, buy 2 of them, or if not 3 of them, and sell the extra crows, because you're going to need strikes and you're going to need Dreadnoughts. Dreadnoughts are the tournament meta right now. You're going to see probably a minimum 4 in every single list. 5 if they're running 2 detachments, and 6 if they're crazy bastards like myself. They're 13 wounds, 5 attacks base, 10 with the sweep, 2 up, 4 up. The weapon is insane. Silencer, side cannon, sword is going to be your load up. You can run a heavy flamer like the One Last Blade does. That's for fun, but it's 2d6 shots, which is pretty good. On charges, he gets that, so that's good Overwatch. You can put a teleport on him. It's 2 CP. It's really expensive. I'd rather just have it on my Grandmasters. But you can put a teleporter on them if you want to kind of build a list where your Grandmaster moves up 6 inches turn 1 because of Blades of Victory. You Gate of Affinity, another Dreadnought, and then 1 Dreadnought in the back shunts up. So now you have 3 Dreadnoughts in front of your deployment zone on turn 1, or the enemy's deployment zone on turn 1. So that's a strat you can do if you want to put 3 Dreadnoughts in front of the enemy team, or even 4, because, wow. If you run Blades of Victory, Grandmaster, the other Dreadnought next to him moves up 6 inches. So they're really far up. You Gate of Affinity your Dreadnought behind you to move up, and then you shunt your last Dreadnought. So that's 4 Dreadnoughts you can literally have on the enemy deployment zone. Turn 1. We're going to test it out. So, oh my god. But that's 2 CP and probably 1 to reroll Gate because it never goes off. Yeah, so you're spending 2 CP to shunt, and maybe 1 more to get a Gate off. That's not bad. 2 CP, turn 1, and all that stuff. So again, very, very good Dreadnoughts. They're not a lot I have to say. They're just insanely good. If you have them, trust me, you're going to be running them. Land Raiders, I haven't run a lot of Land Raiders this edition, but they're just tanks. Again, they take up the slot for the Dreadnoughts. So you're competing against Dreadnoughts. Dreadnoughts are very hard to compete with, but if you want to run a fun list, run a Dreadnought. I know the Redeemer, Banisher is the Forge World one. Do that one. But the Redeemer is the Flamestorm. You have the Crusader, which carries a shit ton of guys, 16 models, and the regular Land Raider. So if you're going to run a Land Raider, probably run a Banisher. It's got the side cannons on it and the Incinerator, I think. But if I have the Cybolt ammunition or the Psychic Amplification on a unit, now your Land Raider can actually do 3 damage with its side cannons. And you could buff it with a Tech Marine. So that's a cool combo if you want to do that. So I would definitely bring the Forge World or convert one of your Land Raiders into just putting side cannons on the side. Because they'll be really tiny, but try it. Razorbacks, very expensive. They're 110, 130 points. What sucks about Rhinos and Razorbacks, you can't shoot out on them anymore. They're not Psychers. You can't teleport them. You can't do anything with them. They're literally just in the back, either shooting or just sitting on objective. That's all they're doing. I tried a Rhino. Rhino's a good thing to try if you want to do Interceptors in them. You can put Interceptors in a Rhino. So basically the Rhino runs up turn 1 behind like a cover or whatever you want to do. And then it runs. So it goes 12 inches plus D6 turn 1. And then turn 2, you guys can get out 3 inches and then move 12. So basically they have a 15-inch move out of the Rhino, and then they could charge. Or turn 1, you can then start the Rhino on the thing, like the deployment line, and then if your guys get out turn 1, they get an extra 3-inch movement. So that's a little trick if you're deployment like the triangle, or you have them in front. What's 15 minus 24? 9? So you have a 9-inch charge basically if you do that on turn 1. Which if you're running Blades of Victory, you get to re-roll if you want. So that's a little trick. Is if you want to run Rhinos, you could put 10-man unit, combat squad them, so they're both units getting out separately, and then kind of moving up 12 inches. Or you can just have them bring a character off the table. Interceptors I haven't used, so if anybody knows anything about Interceptors, I don't have the models, I haven't used them yet, I can't say anything about them. They're basically just mini Storm Ravens. Same with the Storm Talon gunship. The Storm Raven is super fun. That is your fun list. It's going to die, so don't feel bad if it does, because it's going to. Just make sure you get the points back. And it's very hard to get 350 points back in one turn. So the thing I don't like about it is the point cost. The thing I do like about it is how many freaking shots it has. It has Hurricane Bolters for 30 points. 2 Storm Strike missiles each turn. You can bring the Multi-Melta, which I would bring. It's 4 shots. A Last Cannon. No, just bring the Multi-Melta. And then the Plasma Cannon. So Plasma Cannon, strength 8. If you overcharge it, -3, 3 damage. Multi-Melta, strength 8, -4, d6 plus 2 damage. And then the missiles are strength 8, -3, 3 damage. Like it's awesome. So it's a lot of freaking shots. But again, it's just so expensive. It can carry, if you watch my one video, I actually ran it a lot. I ran it the whole tournament. And it was fun. It literally ran across the table, blew something up, and then it died. That's all it did. If it was cheaper, or if it had like -1 to hit, which it does. I mean, -1 to wound or -1 damage. I think it'd be a lot better. It's flyers, you can't hide them. They're always seen by everybody, and they just die super fast. But you can transport a dread and a squad in it. So on my tournament, I transported 2 Interceptor squads. So they were combated. They both got out and wreaked havoc. I transported Crow and a Dreadnought. So all that was in the Storm Raven, which I didn't find out that you have to roll, and you can kill a Dreadnought. So let's say you just had the Dreadnought and you rolled a 1 when it blew up, your Dreadnought dies. What? Or your character dies. No save, no nothing, just gone. So make sure you have more than just 1 Dreadnought or character in the Storm Raven if it dies. So bring like a squad of 5 and a Dreadnought, or a squad of 5 and a character and a Dreadnought, because then you roll 6 dice or 7 dice, 1's kill the guys and not the Dreadnought. So yeah, it's really fast too. So that is the units. So wrapping it up, again, I said I was going to make a quick video, but hopefully you guys learned something in this video, what I used. Next video is going to be coming out is going to be how to build a Grey Knight list. We're not going to copy One Last Blade. We're going to kind of discuss more of like a tournament setting, and kind of go based off of what I've been using in the tournament and probably what you're going to see in the tournament. Fun lists, casual games, we're going to talk about that as well. But hopefully this review, the last edition of this 4-part series, you guys learned it. Leave in the comments below what I missed, because I'm sure I missed a bunch. What you like, what your favorite units are, what your least favorite units are, what's something you want me to test out, what have you tested out that you really like. Just list it all. 1,000 subs get us streaming, live streaming. We're going to be able to stream at the store on Mondays once we get up to 1,000 subs, which we're about 500 right now. So Juice, congrats. Appreciate all you brothers who are subscribed to the channel. And also, once we get to 1,000, I think I really want to live stream Grey Knights versus Grey Knights battle. That's going to be super fun. It's just going to be 2 amazingly painted armies. The guy who I'm talking to just paints literally everything so nice, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be brutal. But yeah, hopefully we can live stream that so you guys can literally see everything we're thinking, what we're talking about, everything in our heads. So yeah, let me know what you think about the book. I think it's awesome. I've been doing really well with it, honestly, and it's not just it's the book. It's a lot of good things and fun things to run in the book. I try to run like fun lists. If you've seen one of my videos, it's just all dreads and dread knights and dreadnoughts and vehicles and tech marines, and just it's a fun list. Most of the time you're going to see 30 interceptors, 20 to 30 strikes, 4 dread knights, and Drago or tech marine. Like that's usually the standard list, which I'll probably be running in a tournament coming up, maybe a GT. But yeah, next tournament's going to be November 20th, so hopefully I'll be able to talk about that if the guys are painted and we're able to get it on the table. So guys, I appreciate it. Thanks for clicking on the video. Thanks for sticking it out this long. We're 48 minutes in, depending on how much I edit it. And guys, I appreciate it. Good luck, and we will see you in another video.